What happens when a single word becomes a storm? When one name, stitched onto fabric, shakes cultural pride, ignites global outrage, and turns a celebrity vacation into an international controversy. In Costa Rica, against the backdrop of tropical jungles and ocean waves, Kim Kardashian found herself at the center of one of her most shocking scandals, the Kimono controversy. It was meant to be just another luxurious escape, another episode in the glamorous chronicle of her life. Instead, the world erupted. Cameras rolled, headlines screamed, and whispers of cultural appropriation spread like wildfire, all while she stood in paradise, under the glaring eye of judgment. I was there, not in the way of flashing paparazzi lenses, but watching the atmosphere shift, the laughter of a holiday transforming into the sharp tension of public backlash. At first, it seemed harmless. A new brand, another empire extension for the woman who had already turned her name into a dynasty. Kim Kardashian announced Kimono, her line of shapewear. But even as the press releases landed and hashtags began to trend, the Costa Rican air thickened with the sense of a mistake, one that no glittering poolside photo shoot could erase. Kim Kardashian was no stranger to scandal. Her life was already carved out of controversy, her name synonymous with influence and spectacle. But this was different. This was not about personal drama, not about family feuds or reality television twists. This was about culture, about identity, about the weight of a word that carried centuries of meaning in Japan, a word that could not be casually worn or rebranded into the marketplace of Hollywood. And yet here in Costa Rica, it was the very word printed on designer sketches, whispered by assistants, and repeated by journalists with growing urgency. Kimono. The irony was almost cinematic. Costa Rica, a country rich in its own traditions, lush with heritage and nature, became the stage for a cultural confrontation from across the globe. Tourists lounged by infinity pools, the Kardashians posed for glossy shots under palm trees, but online, the world was ablaze. Japanese officials voiced their disapproval. Social media flooded with anger. Critics accused her of exploiting centuries of Japanese artistry for profit, reducing something sacred to a mere brand name. The controversy echoed louder than the rainforest calls at dusk, louder than the crashing waves along the Pacific shore. As I watched, the timeline of events unraveled like a documentary reel. Kim had filed trademarks, hopping to protect her brand, but what she thought was business savvy was received as arrogance. In Japan, the kimono is not just clothing, it is heritage. Weddings, funerals, festivals, ancestral memories, woven into every fold. And now that word was claimed by an American celebrity to be stitched into elastic fabric, marketed with glossy images that stripped it of its soul. The outrage was not just cultural, it was deeply personal for millions. The Costa Rica trip, originally planned as a picturesque getaway, turned into a paradox. Palm trees swayed in the background of Instagram posts, while news anchors in Tokyo reported indignantly on the appropriation of their culture. Each selfie Kim posted was met with comments not of admiration, but of anger. Every smile in front of a sunset seemed shadowed by accusations from across the ocean. The kimono controversy had grown larger than her, larger than Costa Rica, larger than any single vacation. It had become a global spectacle. I remember walking through the crowded lobbies of luxury resorts, overhearing conversations in whispers. Some fans defended her, arguing that kimono was just a word, that brands had always borrowed cultural references. Others shook their heads, reminding anyone who would listen that culture is not a commodity, that symbols are not for sale. The debate mirrored the waves, back and forth, crashing harder each time, never settling. And then came the pressure. Journalists camped outside. Every move was scrutinized. From the food she ate in Costa Rica to the outfits she wore by the pool, everything seemed to echo against the backdrop of the scandal. Her team scrambled, issuing statements, explaining intentions, insisting there was no disrespect. But the damage was already done. Hashtags like Kimono trended worldwide, a global chorus mocking the brand before it even launched. The Costa Rican air, humid and heavy, became symbolic of the weight she carried. It was a reminder that fame magnifies mistakes, that paradise can become a prison when public opinion turns. Every palm leaf rustling in the night seemed to whisper the same word, kimono, over and over again, haunting her brand, her reputation, and her carefully constructed empire. But here's the question. Was this only about Kim Kardashian? Or was it about something much bigger, something society has been struggling with for years? The fine line between appreciation and appropriation, the battle between globalized business and cultural respect, the clash of celebrity power and traditional identity. Costa Rica became the setting, but the real battlefield stretched across continents, from Hollywood to Tokyo, from Instagram feeds to cultural heritage boards. I stood there watching the narrative twist like a vine in the rainforest. Every angle seemed dramatic, every reaction explosive. The Kardashians had always mastered the art of spectacle, but this time, the spectacle was out of their control. The Costa Rica trip was meant to showcase leisure, beauty, and escape. Instead, it showcased the fragility of influence, the consequences of missteps, and the unpredictable fury of global consciousness. Day by day, the backlash grew louder. Japanese politicians spoke openly, urging her to reconsider. Petitions gained signatures by the thousands. Comment sections flooded with criticism, each post amplifying the controversy. And all the while, Costa Rica's serene beaches framed the chaos like an unsettling contrast, the calm of nature against the storm of human voices. Kim Kardashian eventually responded. From the heart of her vacation, she announced that she would not move forward with the name Kimono. She heard the outcry, she claimed, and she would listen. But by then, the story had already been etched into history. The kimono controversy was no longer about a name. It was about accountability, about the collision of celebrity ambition with cultural boundaries. In the evenings, as the Costa Rican sun dipped below the horizon, it was impossible not to reflect on what had unfolded. A word, a brand, a name, turned into a global lesson. Fame is powerful, but culture is stronger. Influence is vast, but heritage runs deeper. And in that moment, Costa Rica was not just the backdrop to a celebrity scandal. It was the reminder that the world is always watching, that paradise offers no escape from responsibility. So what do we take from this? That even the most influential celebrities are not untouchable. That culture cannot be rebranded for profit without consequence. That a name, once spoken, carries the weight of history, identity, and pride. The kimono controversy was not just Kim Kardashian's scandal. It was a mirror reflecting the delicate balance between globalization and respect, between influence and humility. The echoes of that controversy remain long after the Costa Rica trip ended. The beaches still shimmer, the jungles still breathe, but the story lingers in the air like an unshakable shadow. Kim Kardashian's kimono controversy did more than explode during a vacation. It exploded across the globe, a cautionary tale written not on fabric but in memory. Because sometimes, a single word can ignite a fire no ocean can put out.